In this video, I'm rolling with Joe, Turk, and Max. All three are blue belts at the Academy of varying levels and sizes. I would like to say there's a huge variation in skill at the blue belt level. I think there's a lot learned at that level. They learn to connect the dots, so to speak. They know the language of jiu-jitsu. Well, they know the alphabet. So here I have a typical 2-on-1 on his arm control. I'm being very casual. I don't train with Joe often. He happened to be there today, so he has the disadvantage of not knowing my game. So there I went with the butterfly sweep. And I'm not really putting a lot of weight on him. I always want to be polite as I can with my partner, depending on the partner. So here I have the step over arm bar. I'm basically trying to do it in slow motion. You know, someone mentioned recently in a pretty funny comment, actually, he said he thinks I have special needs and I'm not a brown belt and, you know, people just let me work. And he hates when he sees me giving advice. So it's funny how when somebody's jealous of something, they don't realize it and they act out. You know, I bet normally he might be a decent person. But there's envy there. You know, he's jealous that I have a channel, obviously, and he wants to put me down. But I just find it funny. I don't flow roll. Flow roll to me means a compliant roll back and forth without really trying for submission. That's a flow roll. I don't think I ever flow roll. So that comment is incorrect. I don't have autism. Not that, you know, Craig Jones always jokes around and says the best jiu-jitsu guys are autistic. And I think there might be some truth to that. And maybe I have some HDD or autism mix, but I just thought that was funny. As far as, you know, my questioning my rank, well, I started 16 years ago. What rank am I? I don't know. It's been my life. So there I flipped him with a butterfly sweep. And was able to take his back. I think he's too, in my opinion, maybe in awe of me, and he, you know, and he's giving me things that he might not give someone normally because he thinks I'm going to get it anyway, if that makes sense. But my intention during a roll is not to flow, it's to increase my skill. Flow roll, again, is a relaxed roll. Maybe you're warming up, you're trading position. You know, I'm not saying I don't know how to do it or I'm not capable of it, but it's not something I normally do. So here I have him in the choke. He's trying to protect the collar. So as soon as his hand was up to protect the collar, I switched to the arm bar. But again, not really trying. I don't have my legs over his head, and I don't have him in the spider web. So here I'm just looking to control him without putting a ton of pressure. So here I have the Americana wrist lock. This is something I've been working on. I feel like it's a two-pronged double attack. You could do it with any, you know, the Kimura. You could even do the armbar wrist lock. So here he's coming back. He's making the mistake. I was explaining this today in class. You want to keep your legs and hips away from your opponent when you're trying to pass the guard, and then use your arms to fight the legs. That's the key. If you step up and the guy can get his legs all wrapped around yours with a De La Hiva guard and a butterfly guard, and he gets everything he wants going, it's not going to be advantageous for you. You want to fight the legs, have movement back and forth so you can pass. Once the guy's tangling up your legs, it's going to make a lot more work. So there, I think I have him in like I have like the Darce set up. So I have my arm laced under his arm. You could see my hand coming out the back of his head. So I'm telling him, I think he might have mentioned to me he had bad ribs, and I said, that's why I'm not putting a lot of pressure. And as soon as he said that, I took the knee off the belly completely. So here I have the collar again. I have him in like a bow and arrow. Again, if I wanted to, I could finish. But as you can see, I'm being very calm. And that ended the round. So I'm telling him to stop letting me control his arm. I notice he's very easy to control his arm. Control meaning grab it in a way where he can't put it out if I push him in that direction. I think I summed that up decently. So that's why I'm able to sweep, because I get control of the arm, and then you push him that way and he can't put his arm out or his leg out. So more to come with Joe. He's a young guy. I don't know how old he is, but he doesn't have any gray hair. Okay, here's the next round. This is Turk. Now, you guys know Turk 182. He's been in a few videos. In the last video he was in, we did no-gi, and I tapped. His shirt was over my face. But he also pulled my elbow up past my shoulder, and, I have two bad shoulders. And, again, kudos to him, but I'll always tap there. Plus, it's not going in anywhere good. A much stronger opponent. He does CrossFit. He was like a CrossFit competitor. He's actually Game of Thrones Billy's brother. So Game of Thrones Billy submitted me when he was a white belt, but he weighed like 280 pounds of muscle. He looked like the guy from Game of Thrones. So they're both super respectful, great guys, and, competitive. So I told him if I had his body, I'd never wear a shirt. But he's also much bigger than me. And now he's a blue belt, so he knows jiu-jitsu. He understands what the point of jiu-jitsu is. He might not know it on a high level. Shoulder crunch sweep coming. There we go. I love that sweep. And as you can see, if it could work on him, the leverage there is just perfect. So now I'm stuck in his closed guard. This is not where I want to be. But I could tell by the way he's playing that he's not a closed guard type of player. And why do I say that? Well, for a number of reasons. One, he's not keeping his legs closed. But also, he wasn't pulling my torso towards him, breaking my posture with his legs, pulling me into him. So here he opened his legs. I'm looking to just calmly sneak out the back. I'm not looking to stand and pass, even though that's my strength. That's definitely what I'm good at. I just love sharpening the blade right here in this position, fending off his attacks. A bigger, stronger opponent. Younger, dare I say. So I'm sitting on his leg, which is very uncomfortable. And it created an urgency in his movement. So I think he had enough of guard play, so to speak. So he came up and he went for the underhook on the right side, which I defended. Now we're into grip fighting. I'm sitting on my feet. As you can see, I switched to an open guard. There's his brother, by the way. So now he has to figure out my guard. And I think for newer people, that's a very hard puzzle. Doesn't mean it can't be, it could be passed. It can be, so there I hit him with a tripod sweep of some sort. See how I laced his leg and kicked off that hook? That was an important detail and a nice way to pass the guard when your partner gets more on their side. So he's telling me I feel a lot stronger, but I've been working out with weights for 4 months. As you know, this channel has kind of become my jiu-jitsu diary, so I'm telling everyone about it. I haven't lifted weights in 30 years, so I'm 53, and I don't want to have an old man type of body. That was my thinking. And if I could work out 4 or 5 days a week, after class mostly, and on a day off or two, forever, I think not only will I be a lot stronger, I'll be safer, and I'll have a better physique. And there's nothing wrong with looking good naked. So here comes Max. As many of you know, Max is very talented blue belt. Problem with Max is he's a little bit smaller, and I'm small at this gym. It's all guys, like my last Turk, he's probably, I don't want to insult him, but he's at least 200 pounds pure muscle, if not 220, 230. So I'm starting up standing with Max because I trust him, but also I like Max because he does for the most part, he does a lot of good technique. So my advantage is that I'm bigger. So if his technique's off a little bit, he could get smashed, he could get passed, things like that. But it doesn't mean it's not good. But then again, Max is half my age. Not that I ever noticed any of these things. Up until recently. So he likes his foot sweeps. I think he has a bit of a stand-up, more of a stand-up background. I think he might have done a little bit of judo or Japanese jiu-jitsu or something. So what I'm looking to do is prevent the takedown while making him tired. As you can see, my grip fighting's just as annoying in the stand-up and just as efficient, because I've been rolling for, I think, 13 minutes or something, and I'm not even close to out of breath. I haven't even gone into fourth gear. And it's not because I'm bragging, and it's not because of my great cardio, it's because of the way I'm moving. That was a good inside trip, and that was an interesting way to avoid it. At my old school, we used to always do every round starting from standing. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just, there's more chance of injury. But if you're rolling in a non-competitive way, if you start off standing and you just kind of accept the takedown and you do it smart. So here I kind of pulled guard and just swept him. See, again, I just like sweeping people. It's safe. I didn't have to hip throw him. I didn't have to worry about getting hip thrown, tossed. I was able to just take him down, roll him over, get on top. And then from there, if his skill isn't such, he won't be able to, get me off. And if he does, he's going to use a ton of energy. Yeah, Max came from another school. That's why he has a white tip on his blue belt. So we don't really do the tips or stripes. It's like an old school Henzo academy. I think Henzo might have suggested to my professor, to do the stripes, and He just couldn't get himself to do it. So that was good. He almost had something there. And I told him. See, here, if I wanted, I could just do an underhook pass on his right leg very easily, but I'm not. Now, this doesn't mean I'm flow rolling. I'm not letting him stand up. I'm just being a little experimental. You have to know every position, every inch of every position. And if you're exploding and jumping all around and at 100 miles an hour, I mean, you'll learn it eventually, but it'll take longer. I remember watching a skateboarder jump off this ledge one day. It took him like 30 tries to land the trick, but he landed in so many different precarious positions that he was so confident that he knew no matter how he landed, even if he didn't land on the board, that he would be okay. And I think jiu-jitsu is similar. You have to know every position and feel comfortable there and know you'll always be okay. That's Hiram and Ash there. Another two other monsters. So here I hit him with the tripod sweep. See, Max doesn't play guard. He likes to stand up and come back at me, and that's good for me. That's good for my jiu-jitsu because I can't let that happen. I forgot who, was it Daniel Cormier? He's like, jiu-jitsu doesn't work if you just stand up. And that's fairly true. I mean, there's, if in MMA, that's why you don't see, I mean, it's not that you don't see any jiu-jitsu, but you're not going to see a back and forth roll the way you're going to see in class. Usually, as soon as somebody gets taken down, their first priority is to get back up. So you're not going to have a guard exchange and things of that nature. So here I'm going to use my hook sweep to get out. That's a great escape. I was talking about it with my partner. So you see how I went around his leg and I talked about how I could have done that before? So I already knew that was a weakness there. Also, I'm explaining to him here, at the end of the round, it's good to just sometimes turn it on. Turn it on for 20 seconds. I told him if he noticed a difference in my pressure at the end. In the end, I was actually putting my weight into him. I wasn't resting on my knee. I wasn't being polite. And then he said, well, I don't have to be polite. But I like to be polite.
I'm not dropping it in man that's going to hurt you.
I like that it's called the gentle art. And I remember Damian Maia in one of his fights. Well, not, it was just his ethos. He said, I don't want to hurt my opponent. I want to win. I want to win without hurting him, because that takes even more skill. I couldn't agree with him more.
I'm letting you work so I can work. Otherwise, I just shut you down and I smash you for 5 minutes. You're not saying that that's always going to happen. You know what I mean? Statistically,
I'm explaining the benefits of letting him work, not letting him just climb all over me, but not just trying to carve right through him like he's nothing.
Take a big rest, right? I'd rather let you work. Have to go to something else.
Learn how to go to something else. Learn how to be experimental.
If I could just go through. And also, it kind of gives me a little more.
I didn't have a brown belt mentor when I was. Oh, actually, I did have a brown belt mentor when I was Max's level. I'm sorry. And it's a valuable thing to have. It's good to have a purple belt or even a blue belt mentor if they're very good, because they can help guide you up. Sometimes the guys at the top forget about some of the little things. So these guys are only a little bit further ahead on their journey, and they can pull you along.
I've never seen a guy escape from that.
Answer questions, be nice to you, let you work. Here I'm telling the advantage of, if getting back mount, you want to get on top and have the person flattened out in back mount. And I was watching this from a Craig Jones video where he's doing a seminar, which is really funny, by the way. He's hysterical. But he had his, he was demonstrating that he had his training partner just flattened out on his stomach. And we see this in MMA as well. with his elbows above his head. So his whole time he's on his back, he's just looking to get the guy's elbows over his head. So it's a really terrible position. You certainly don't want Craig Jones on your back. But thank you for watching. I'll put the link to the new rash garden in the description. And if you want to help support the channel, there's also a Buy Me a Coffee link. Use code JITSOver50 with the X Marshall, and you get 15% off anything on the site. Thank you all for watching. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have a channel. So please like, share. And if you haven't already, subscribe. More to come with Joe, Turk, and Max.
That matters. So if you go with a guy that's 20 pounds heavier than you and a blue belt and you're even, you're better than